Welcome to the Able Podcast, where we open our throat chakras and discuss the cycles of life, transformative experiences, and cover the depths of individual spiritual journeys. I am your host, Courtney, the creator of Able Alchemy, where dreams and reality align. I'm an intuitive brand designer and sound healer with a passion for bringing people together in community. Thank you for pressing play. Hello, and welcome back to the Able Podcast. I'm so excited because we have one of my dear friends on today, Jill Olenski. She's a mother of two. She is the co-founder of Shop a la Man in Glen Ellyn and Align Life Method. She is coming on to give us a background on her story with a theme around finding the beauty in your brokenness. Jill, I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I feel like this has been in the works for a long time. I can't believe we're finally doing it, but I'm really excited to share with everyone today my story.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And we're in person, which is kind of fun. It's a little different. It's fun.
Feel each other's energy.
Yes. We pulled a card and we're in a portal and we're excited that you're with us.
Yes. Always in a portal when we're together.
Always. So Jill, go ahead and kind of kick it off wherever you'd like to.
Okay. So every healing journey has like a catalyst, and that could be whether you lose a loved one or have a huge breakup in your life, you move across the country, have like some sort of big change, new phase of life. And for me, mine was really like becoming a mom, but then so many other layered things that I'll go into. And not only did I become a mom at the same time as we sold our house in Los Angeles. At the time we were living in LA, Then we moved to the mountains to our house in Lake Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I left my career, and then we moved across the country back to our hometown in Glen Ellyn. And we renovated a 1904 Victorian top to bottom, all within the first 5 months of having my son.
Which is crazy.
It was crazy.
That's like crucial months of postpartum.
Crucial months of postpartum, but also just like, how in the world was I doing this all at once?
Yeah. You weren't processing anything.
No, I
probably.
wasn't. Like, I was not. I look at some of the choices we made in our house, and I was like, okay, we need a new life today. It's like time to change it up. But I guess I'm no stranger to like taking a lot on. I like had been running a $400 million business for Disney, doing toys, and I just like always jumbled a lot of different things. And so for me, it was like, okay, I guess we're just diving in head first.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing prepares you for motherhood in general and like parenthood. And I feel like that change is just so big.
Yeah.
And life altering, really.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
It really changes your perspective on everything.
It does.
That's kind of when my whole perspective changed on life too.
So much.
Yeah.
And like I always wanted to be the stay-at-home mom. So like, I mean, I wanted to have a big career, but like I was kind of jealous of like stay-at-home moms, and I was like, oh, like this sounds great. Like we're gonna move across the country, take a career pause. At the time, that's just what it was. It was like not like totally officially closing this door, but you know, we're moving and just all of these other big things. So stay-at-home mom life though, after a while was like, okay, I need something more. And I'm an Enneagram 3, which I'm the achiever. Like my biggest fear is feeling worthless in what I do, and like I needed to figure out like what was missing for me. Like I had this darling baby, but then my husband was traveling and gone 4 days a week, and I was like, what is next for me?
Yeah, you kind of lose yourself in motherhood too.
You do.
Yeah.
You definitely do. And like around fall that same year, a lifelong friend's wife and I began something together. And it was so great in the beginning until it wasn't. And I've like always had this like entrepreneurial spirit ever since I was like a little girl. I had my first business card at 10, featured in the Glen Ellyn newspaper at 12 for like making Beanie Babies accessories. Yes. Yeah, I
love this, and it makes so much sense.
Cover, of the newspaper, youngest person at the flea market.
I love that.
But yeah, just like at the end of the day, the business partnership wasn't working
at that time
for either of us.
Yeah.
And that left me in such a depressed state, because not only was this like a business that I really loved at the time, but it was a friendship that I had for so long that was literally like disintegrating, and that was so depressing.
Yeah.
And hard. So it's like I felt like I found something, put all this time and energy into it, and like completely lost it all within a couple months.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was not a fun couple months to say the least. But I share this piece and this like failure that felt so icky in the moment, because it was such a necessary lesson in hindsight for like how I handle my business partnership that I have today with Emily. Like I have done so many things differently, and if I hadn't had that failure, I wouldn't be the business partner that I am today with her.
That's
like
such
everything
a silver
happens.
lining.
It is such a silver lining, and thankfully that friendship that was sort of broken for a period of time is now healed and like better.
Oh, that's good.
So thankful for that, because at the end of the day, like business is business, but like your friends, your relationships, like those matter the most.
That's even harder than a business breaking down. I feel like losing a friend.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like I lost almost my guy friend and his wife. It was like 2 friends.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. So as this like business and friendship situation was playing out, I simultaneously in the background of my life was finally getting through to my biological father's side of the family. So I'll give a quick backstory here.
Yeah.
my biological father was like never in my life. And when I was 16, I decided that I wanted to meet him. One of my aunts came into town from Australia and poked the bear. She was like, Jill, do you ever want to like meet your dad? Like, are you like curious about that?
Yeah.
And my mom was like furious.
Was
she? Her sister. Yeah. And she just like, why? Why would you say that?
Yeah.
She's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I have an amazing stepdad and I adore him and love him. And I've known him since I was in 2nd grade. But it's not your dad. It's like there's a person that's living in this world that is half of you. And it's like, what is the disconnect here? Like, why don't we talk? Like, you're a normal human. I am. Like, you just live in Florida.
Yeah.
And I just live in Illinois. Like, this can't be that hard.
Yeah.
But it took 2 years for my mom and him to settle on an agreement for us to meet.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't until I was 18
we
actually met. And in that like time, like him and I had communicated back and forth over emails and stuff. But I was such a shy kid when I was growing up that like all of it just like made me feel really uncomfortable and awkward and really nervous. I was like so nervous to meet this person, and I had to meet him alone. So,
really?
Yeah. So it was part of the agreement. I couldn't, my mom couldn't come, and I had to meet him alone, and I was 18, so
oh my God.
I'm an adult.
Yeah. But still very young.
So I was terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like the nervousness that I had coming into this today was like 20-fold.
Jeez.
Like, holy shit. Like, this
I
is
can't
your dad.
even imagine.
Yeah.
Well, especially because there's got to be such a strong, energetic tie between the two of you, even though you never knew this person.
Yes.
And then to be thrown in a situation like that where you have 2 years of anticipation leading up to it, I cannot imagine.
Yeah. And he even like wrote in a letter to my mom how like after he met, like hugged me, he like could feel that I was a part of him.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But our whole meeting was like an awkward first date.
Was
like,
it really?
The most awkward first date with this person who is literally half of you.
Yeah.
And you've never met them. And like preparing for it, like I did this whole photo album. We met at my high school. So we met at Glenbard West.
Okay.
And I like remember taking him to the top of the hill to like this bench that like was, I don't know, commemorated in honor of like one of my good friends from high school. And it was like walking this stranger
Yeah.
through your life
Yeah.
in, you know, a matter of hours.
Yeah.
And then I remember we went to lunch and I took him to like my favorite restaurant at the time, CPK in Oak Brook.
Stop. I love it.
I know. And I was like, why would I take him to my favorite restaurant? Like, this is going to ruin it for me. Like, what was I thinking?
Did it ruin it for you?
Yeah, I never went back.
No.
Yes. And in that, like lunch exchange, he revealed to me that, like, his son, who he had with his now wife, and was his wife until, you know, he died, didn't know I existed.
No way.
Yeah. And he was, like, 2 years younger than me. And that was all I heard. Was
well,
like,
yeah.
he doesn't know you exist. But now that I've met you and basically I see how great you are, I think you're worthy of like him knowing about you.
Oh, that's alarming.
And I was just like, I don't even know how to process this.
Yeah.
And I just completely like went like mute, I feel like. I can still picture myself sitting in that seat and just being like, oh my God, like, really?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? Like, I have to go.
Yeah. I mean, what an awful thing to hear.
Yeah. So I, like, we were supposed to continue to like do something throughout that weekend, but like I made up some excuse. I was like, I have to go to the city for this like random project, and I just tried to get out of it. I like ran as far away from the situation as I could. It was like my like inner child was like, get me fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I need to like hide.
Yeah.
I need to hide. I don't want anything to do with you. You scare me. And I'm just terrified. I was like a terrified little girl at 18. I was like, I was not mature enough for this whole situation.
Yeah. Well, and you were kind of put in a corner by yourself.
Yeah.
With someone who you didn't know.
For sure.
Which makes it really difficult.
Yeah. And like my mom even said, like, you know, that's not fair that you have to go meet him by yourself. But like I was so stubborn that I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm so mature. Like, not a big deal.
Yeah.
No. Because I'm like cowering in the corner, like, oh God, like, get me out of here.
Oh my gosh.
I remember getting to one of my best friend's houses, and I was like, just like elated to be in the presence of somebody who like truly loved me and knew me. And I just felt like so much more like at ease. I was like, that was a nightmare to me. Like, it was just awful. And afterwards, like, he obviously tried to get in touch with me, and I was just ignoring. I literally put it in a box, and I was like, see you later. Not going to deal with this. You don't exist to me, so I'm going to go back to the way it always was for the first 16 years of my life, and we're good. Yeah. We don't ever have to talk again.
Yeah.
Obviously, that really hurt him, and he wrote my mom several letters. I like think about this now. I was like, we were like writing letters back then.
Yeah, that's wild.
It doesn't seem that far like ago, long ago, you know?
Yeah.
So I have all the letters.
Oh, you do?
My mom kept them.
Wow.
So I read through them many times.
Did you read through them at the time or after? This is like now. Okay.
Like way after, like years, like probably 10 years.
Okay.
After at least.
Okay.
And he says some really nice things, and I can see in the letters like how I hurt him so much. And so later I reached out to him. So I'm like in my mid-20s, and I'm about to like get married, and so I like, you know, told him like what was going on in my life. Like, I'm living in Los Angeles, I have this, you know, partner, and we're getting married, and like blah blah blah. And he didn't respond. And I was like, okay, whatever. My uncle emails him. He responds to him, and it's like, are you kidding me? So he's just like blatantly ignoring me.
Oh, geez.
And my mom's like, I'm not surprised. Yeah. Because he said that, you know, one day you would want to know, and I should encourage you and force you to talk to him. And I didn't. And so now he's holding it against you.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just like, who's the parent?
Yeah.
And who's the child here?
Yes.
Like, I am allowed to make mistakes. Like, everyone is allowed to make mistakes in their life. And like being a mom now, I'm like, I could never imagine doing that to my child.
Never.
But it was just such a struggle with him always. And so fast forward to this fall of 2019, I've had this business breakup. I'm like in a slump with all of that.
Yeah.
I'm like watching this show on TV about genealogy and like tracing her family stuff, and I like randomly Google my grandmother's name, and her obituary pops up.
Okay.
She just died.
Oh my
in
gosh.
September. Yeah. She was 102 years old. So it's like, and then you think like, oh my God, I could have met you. Like, you were 102. Like, and she, from what I learned from my family, who like I connected with through this obituary, because obviously it lists out all the like family members that, you know, are surviving. And of course I'm not listed. So that's like another like, oof, like dagger to the heart.
Yeah.
And so I reach out to one of my cousins, and she responds like immediately.
Oh,
so this is on Facebook. And she was like, it was the warmest message. It was like exactly what I needed to hear. Like, I've been keeping an eye out for you, and like, I know exactly who you are. I know your mom and your brother, and like, I have such great memories of your mom.
Oh, wow.
We would love to meet you, but we don't talk to your dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like, they had a falling out with him too. So there's clearly like a pattern.
Yes.
Not just with me, but with his sister and his niece and nephew.
Which is kind of reassuring in a weird way.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
For sure. And I feel like so much of my like curiosity is like understanding my family history.
Mm-hmm.
And like I really wanted that from him.
Yeah.
I wanted him to tell me like, here's where you came from and here's about our family. Like I just want to know these facts. Like you can't even give that to me.
Yeah.
So what was really great is that my cousins and my aunt and uncle live 15 minutes away from here. So we all got to go out to dinner in downtown Glen Ellyn. They came to my house beforehand and we like met for the first time.
Wow.
My aunt brought me like all of our ancestry information and pictures, and it was a really special meeting and just like finally felt like, oh, like I'm accepted, like I'm not loved.
Yes.
Which clearly is still like emotional for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like a really hard thing to feel rejected by a parent.
Yeah.
So anyways, met them and just everything was like really great. And they gave me my dad's phone number and his address. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one final shot.
Yeah.
I texted him a super long message. Like, I know I hurt you, but like, please don't do this to me. In your letter, you wrote you would never hurt me again. So like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you, you're hurting me.
Yeah.
Doesn't respond. Weeks go by, and in this time, like, I sent him a letter that explained everything. I sent him pictures of my family, of me, like, as an adult. My son, I'm like, you are a grandfather.
Yeah.
Like, don't you want to know him? Like, what is going on here? And he sent me a text message that said, the book was closed many years ago and won't be reopened. I suggest moving on with your life. It's like...
That is so harsh.
Yeah.
And cold.
Yeah. That shit rocked me.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
It was like a really, really tough moment. And it's like, so it was so hard for my husband to understand because he has both of his parents and like just all this stuff. Like I didn't know how to process that. It's like, okay, I guess like you just like fully do not care.
Yeah. Yeah.
That really sucks. But I had an answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, I got pregnant with our second son, and again, put my wounds in a box.
Yeah. Hid them away.
Hid them away. Pretend
Naturally.
they were fine.
As we naturally do.
Yeah. Because, just easier that way.
Yeah.
Just pretend like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So had our second son in the fall, and then COVID happens. And that shifted everything for everyone.
Everything.
Like, that was a whole other hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Seriously.
For real.
My husband wasn't traveling anymore. He was home. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm used to you not being home for 4 days. Like, what do you mean I need to cook all these meals? Like, I just, like, want my, like, sovereignty. Like, I want to be by myself.
Yes.
Like, get away from me,
yes.
And
it was crazy.
Love him, but it just was, like, so much.
Oh,
like,
my God,
it was, like, such a big shift.
Yeah, huge shift for everyone.
Yeah. But, like, by January 2021, we're, like, coming on this pandemic, like, fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Emily, who is my now dear friend, business partner, but she also happens to be my neighbor.
Yeah.
And we met on Instagram, which
I love
of
that
course.
So much.
Yeah. She was supposed to take over this other shop, and that was literally how we connected, because I had, like, followed this kid's resale shop that she was taking over.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I, like, saw her doing stories in her front yard, and I was like, oh my God, she lives in this cute house.
How
like,
wild.
Yeah. And I, like, messaged her. I was like, oh my gosh, we're neighbors. Like, we started following each other and chatting, and, like, my background's in retail. I'm like, if you ever need help with your shop, because at this period of my life, I'm like, still don't know what I'm doing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
No clue. But I started following her. So she was sharing all about, like, essential oils, and she was a brand partner with Young Living.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this speaks to me.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this.
You could feel it.
Yeah. Like, this is so interesting to me. I love creating products. Like, that's what my background is product development, product design, strategy, like making stuff, being creative. And like, that is my creative outlet. And then like the whole clean products thing, I had a cabinet just filled with like toxic cleaners and nothing looked pretty. And it was like,
yeah,
what am I, like, I got to get rid of all this crap.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm doing this. This is my next thing.
Yeah.
So days after I receive my Young Living package, my becoming a brand partner, my husband and my best friend from college, husband, they worked together and they both got fired.
Oh my God.
From their job and served papers because they were being sued for trying to start their own company.
Oh my God.
It was like our world got flipped upside down.
Yeah.
You had no idea.
Was this still during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
2021 it started.
Okay.
It's thankfully over now, but that is as of June this year.
It was dragged on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For over 2 years. And I remember just feeling like, why is this happening again with like another father figure in my life? This was a family member that was suing my husband and my best friend's husband. So obviously not only did that put a ton of stress on like me and my husband, but like my friend's family, and then this is my family member that's doing it. Like I felt just like, again, abandoned and like, how is this happening? Like, is this real life? Are you really doing this? Like, can we not have like a conversation about this? Like, are you that much of like an egotistical asshole?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah. And it's really interesting when you lay it out like that, like your whole story, and you see the pattern there.
Yeah.
That like, oh wow, addressing those emotions, even past stuff from your dad, like needed to happen almost.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I, get my Young Living stuff and I'm like, go to John. I'm like so excited to start this business. And I was talking to him yesterday, John, about this. And he's like, I remember when you came in to tell me that you were going to sell essential oils. I was in the shower and you were like, yeah, I'm going to start selling essential oils. And he's like, I have just been sued and I have no idea what I'm doing for work. It was like, he's like, I wanted to bang my head against the tile wall.
My gosh.
And he's like, I had a headache for days after that because I was just felt like, what is my wife doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know what's going on with my life. And my mom felt the same way. They're like, get a real job. And everything inside of me told me, like, I'm not listening to either of you.
Yeah. Good.
Like, it was like I trusted my inner voice so much. I was like, this is my path. This isn't going to steer me wrong. Like, I know it.
Yeah.
And even though I just felt like so unsupported, it was just, that voice was just so freaking loud. So loud.
You knew.
I know. And like during this whole time of being sued, it was such hell. But literally Emily and like our oils business and everything was like my saving grace.
Yeah.
Like, can't imagine not having that piece. Because it was like my outlet of like happiness and like my own thing and creativity and just like all those boxes that I feel like we all need as humans.
Yes.
Like, it was my self-expression.
Yes.
And that felt good to me. I'm like, so you guys are going to tell me to like give up the one thing right now that feels so good to me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not listening to either of you.
I'm so glad you didn't.
Yeah. And what also this like business was for me was like I gained a community of other women and moms that like wanted to do something for themselves, wanted to help other people, and wanted to like transform our households to be cleaner and safer and less toxic for ourselves and our families. So it was like all these like positive things.
Yeah.
And it just like allowed me to have this community where I learned things of like the Enneagram, and I like could like started to like really pull back the layers of myself and like who I was, because when I gave up my career all those years ago, that was such a big identity to me. Like I went to college for apparel merchandising, fashion design, business, and like I went straight into like corporate retail merchandising, and that was like literally what I always wanted to do. So again, like listen to my intuition there from the time that I was a young girl, like 8th grade, I knew I was going to own a shop someday. And I have done that, you know, and
amazing.
It was all because I listened to my intuition with the essential oils.
Yeah.
And yeah, so fast forward to January 2022, and like my healing journey just like accelerated.
Yeah.
Like it went from like, okay, we're like getting to know ourselves, we've done the Enneagram, but like we're like feeling better, we're like in our feelings a little bit more, and
dipping your toe in.
Dipping my toe in. And then the universe was literally like, hey Jill, we're pushing you off that cliff and you're head first, get ready to heal, girl.
Yes.
Like, this is happening right now.
The Band-Aid was ripped off.
The Band-Aid was ripped off. Okay, so it was Venus retrograde, which we're in right now.
Yes. Full
all
circle.
About relationships and like understanding your relationships. And one of my best friends like brought up something about my ex, who was like my first love, the person that I was with right before my husband. And that was like one of the most wounding, the most wounding relationship I've ever been in my life. And she like some random thing like, oh, this actor like reminds me of him when I watch Succession.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh. And then I started having dreams, and like just literally it was like Venus retrograde was like, hey girl,
taking over.
You gotta heal from this. It's
you
your time.
You gotta heal from that. Yeah.
It's your time. And then my dad died.
Oh yeah.
So it's like this first love healing opened Pandora's box, ripped that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Then my dad died. And then Emily and I became business partners.
All in the same month?
All in the same month.
Wow.
And I started to see a therapist because I was like, okay.
You needed it.
Yeah. Like, take the wheel. Like, there's too much going on right now. I feel like I'm going to explode, and I like have to release this.
Yeah.
Like, it's gotten too full.
Yeah.
And later I would find out that in January was the start of my nodal return. So that, which is, as you know,
yes,
but those listening may not, it's a point in your life that happens around every 18 years, and it is putting you on your path. It is like redirecting you towards your destiny, and it is like a time of change in your life.
Yeah.
So it's usually like people have a baby, or they move, or like some big change happens during your nodal return. And for me, it was like, you're healing, your dad died, like, you got to get over this stuff, and
release and shift.
Yeah, and then like amazing stuff with Emily too. So it was like good and bad. And at this point, my marriage was majorly suffering on many levels because of this lawsuit. It was like the lawsuit wasn't just anybody. Like I said, it was my family, and so like I lost a lot of family in this process, like people that I grew up with and went to school with every day. These were like my siblings, and that was awful. And I feel like for the first year alone, we just like fought about that dynamic of the family loss, and like how wounding that was for me again, because it was like an abandonment, and it was over something so insane to me that like really we can't like have a conversation and like figure this out. and just obviously grappling with like the death of my dad and like realizing like I will never hear from him again. Like that chapter is officially closed.
Yeah.
And he's never going to say anything to you. That was his last text to you. He never sent me a letter. I was like hopeful, like, oh, maybe I'll like get something. He didn't even have a funeral.
He didn't?
No. No
that kind
funeral.
of says something as well. Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was like a big smoker his entire life. He died of esophageal cancer.
Okay.
Yeah. So no funeral, like no closure. It was just like you died and it's done.
That was it.
And that was it. And then like I, tried to get some answers about what happened in that like first love relationship, and that didn't go in my favor either. Yeah. So I was just like spinning in this like spiral of no answers and needing to seek them from within myself and like find that validation for myself, which cue the therapist.
Yes.
Because you need all the help you can get when you're going through some really hard shit like this.
And I can only imagine you felt like you were really alone in all of that too. And looking inward for answers is really the only answer at that point.
It is. And it sucks.
Oh, it's awful.
It's like, I don't know. I don't have the answer. But you do. You do.
Takes a lot of inner work.
Yeah. Like, it was literally, like, such a breakthrough to just, like, start the process of healing. Yeah. And so then I'm, like, sitting in my bed, or laying in my bed. Middle of the night. It's March, around my birthday. So, like, this whole process starts in January. It's around my birthday in March. And I have always been so curious about astrology. Always. Ever since I was a little girl, always read my horoscope, like, whatever. Yeah. But I thought it was a Pisces.
Oh, yes.
Forever. Yes. So I was, like, convinced I'm a Pisces, but I was that cusp. And I'm like, I'm not an Aries. But I totally am an Aries.
Yes,
I'm so entrepreneurial.
You're 100% an Aries.
Like, I'm fire in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I'm definitely an Aries, but I think like a Pisces. So I'm like, I am a mix. Catherine's like, yeah.
Yes.
I feel your Pisces energy. You got a lot of it, girl.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the same year that I found out that I was actually an Aries, and I'm 0 degrees. So I'm like right when those signs change. Yeah. And for all those who don't know, it's the astrological new year. So I was born right at the new year.
Yes.
Glennon Doyle and I share this exact same birthday, 10 years apart, and we are both 0 degrees Aries, and found out in the same year. She found out with Cheney Nicholas on her podcast, and I was like, get out. Like, I'm like, I am the same thing as you. Like,
that is crazy.
But like, she had like identity crisis. Like, because of it, she's like, what do you mean I'm not a Pisces? Like, I thought I was a Pisces my whole life. Which is, it's wild to like, think you're one thing and then find out you're not, and it seems so silly to like those not maybe into astrology, but like,
well, that's another reason why I don't love horoscopes all the time. Totally. Because I am a Scorpio. I have a ton of Scorpio energy, but like my rising sign is Sagittarius, so I am like super outgoing and loud when I'm out and about. Yeah. And sometimes I relate more to the Sagittarius stuff, or I don't know. I just feel like I don't love horoscopes all the time.
Me either.
Yeah.
So I'm like laying in bed doing all this stuff, like researching, and I still can't figure out if I'm an Aries or a Pisces, because I didn't find that out until August, when Catherine actually read my natal chart and told me all the wonderful things she told me about myself. But I found out I'm a life path 11, so it's numerology, and I was like, this makes so much sense. Yes. Like, I am always been very, like, I used to collect ghost books as a kid.
I love that.
And like, and they actually used to kind of scare the shit out of me.
I'm sure they
did. Them on my like bookshelf, and like I would look at night. I remember there was this like Indian chief on like the cover of one of them, and it terrified me. Yeah. But I like was obsessed, and like my friends and I used to do like witch spells and have voodoo dolls and like all this kind of stuff, and like life path 11s a lot are like mediums and like healers and like just have that
Yes.
otherworldly touch
Yes.
to them. So I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm reading who I am in this life path. And then a couple weeks later, I'm scrolling Instagram. Influencer Liz Adams posts about the book Signs. And Laura Lynn Jackson and that book literally changed my life.
Yes.
And it's just like, there is a message in that book for literally everyone who's open to receiving it.
It's amazing.
It is just like such a special book, and like understanding the universal language of signs that are shown to us every day if you are open to them. I had already been seeing like angel numbers, like 1111 I would see all the time. I see 11s all the time now. It was like the theme of 2020 was like the number 11 for me. It would show up in every corner of my life. But yeah, just these signs were like already in my life. I just didn't know how to receive them and that they were for me.
Yeah.
Like, example of a sign that I had no clue about until hindsight. We released or launched our Alamo website on 2/11.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
I know. And I was like, holy shit, Emily. Like, what are the odds of that? That is like literally like the biggest sign that we were on the right path.
Yes.
Right there. So love that book. Anybody listening should definitely read
Highly
that book.
recommend.
It
It's
is
amazing. It is so good.
Changed your life in
It
so
did.
many ways too.
Yeah.
And then at this point, you had shared your story with Patty of Glen Ellyn Moms Village.
Yes.
And I mean, your story is so inspiring in itself and like so brave. But in it, you talk about how you saw a psychic medium and how she like
changed
unlocked, your story and truth within you. So I remember reaching out to you and being like, "Who's this psychic medium?" Because it's not like you Google this.
Yeah. Oh no.
You know,
you don't know who to trust either.
Exactly. You definitely don't know who to trust. And you recommended I go see Anita. So do all of that. I go on May 5th. Anita changed my life as well. Like, her words were just so comforting. I felt so seen, understood, and just like hopeful for my future.
Yeah.
Because at this point, like, I have this business and I'm really excited about it. And we also still have this lawsuit going on. I'm like in this marriage turmoil, more or less. I'm going through this like first love healing. My dad just died, so I'm like, help me out. I need help. And she just gave me this message from the other side that you are enough. And so much of my wounding from my father and from my first love and from all those things was like me feeling like I was never good enough for any of them.
Yeah.
And just knowing that helped me just feel like I'm okay. Like this has nothing to do with me. This has to do with them.
100%.
And there's this quote by Wayne Dyer. It says, "When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change."
Totally.
And
love that.
Like the view that I had of like my dad, and she had said how he really was just like a vessel to bring me here. He was never supposed to be part of my day today.
Interesting. She said that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. And so that was also like really comforting to hear. And my like stuff with my first love, like that was just all an extension of my wounding from my dad, of that rejection. And so it was like I like healing the rejection from my dad helped me heal the rejection from that like traumatic relationship breakup. So it's just like looking at that in a different angle helped me to heal so much of that within myself.
Yeah.
So between reading signs and just going to Anita and talking to you, like that meeting, that like lunch meeting that we had when we first met.
Yes, tacos.
Oh my God. Yes. I feel like I just like poured my heart out to you. You were like such a safe space. And like you still are, obviously, for me. I feel like, oh my God, you're like a guide in my life.
So are you.
For all the things.
So are you.
But yeah, like all of that. And then fast forward to Catherine.
Yes.
Oh my God. You all need to get a natal chart reading done.
Seriously though.
Yes, because like people are like, well, astrology is so general or whatever. No, it is so complex and nuanced, and until like that's why you need to know your birth time, because if you don't know your birth time, then yeah, it could be general and vague and whatever. But if you know your birth time, like the things Catherine told me in my astrological reading, it was just like this all makes so much sense. And again, I just felt so seen, so heard. And I understood myself. It allowed me to understand myself on the deepest of levels.
Yeah.
And then couple that with human design, which Anita opened me up to. So like once Catherine did that, I was like, okay, now I'm going to look into this human design stuff. And it was just like all of these healing modalities that I feel like are so misunderstood.
Yes.
By so many people.
Yes.
Are incredible tools.
So amazing.
Like, I don't know how, like, I couldn't have found myself without that validation. And that's what they do. It's like they help you validate how you know that you feel, but like you're just unsure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everyone I feel like needs a little like, you're on the right path, or like, that makes sense for you. Like, it's okay to be that way because that's just who you are. Yeah. It's how you were born.
100%, especially during times of uncertainty.
Yes.
Those tools are so helpful. They can push you in the right direction. They can affirm what you're going through or that you're in the right place. Oh my God. They're amazing, honestly.
Yeah. So, yeah, just like took all of these breakdowns for me to finally break through. Leaning into the beauty of my brokenness made me discover that I really wasn't broken at all. I was being guided into alignment with my truest and best self. And I like am so happy that I'm in this like place. Because like everyone has their obstacles. We all face in this lifetime. Yeah. And it's how we choose to overcome them that sets us apart, though. 100%. Like, you can tell somebody who is, like, oh my God, just, like, stuffing everything down. Like, I can read it, like, having a conversation with somebody. Yeah.
It's all about how you react to life.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like my biggest piece of advice is to listen to yourself. Like, you are your greatest guide here on earth. Follow your heart and do the things you truly love, because that is where your gifts lie, and you're meant to share them with the world. Everything else will fall into place when you listen from within.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
You are your greatest guide.
Truly.
And you have come such a long way.
Yeah.
I do want to say that.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't even know how long we've been friends. A couple years now. And you are like a completely different person. In the best way. Yeah. In the absolute best way.
I mean, I feel that way. It's like you feel it.
You're lighter.
Yeah. So much lighter.
You're lighter.
So much lighter. Okay, I want to end with one of the only things that I have from my biological father, and it's a story he sent me in my high school graduation card the month after we met.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I came across this when I was going through all of our letters.
Okay.
But here it is.
Okay.
Make you all think.
Yes.
A young woman was complaining to her father about how difficult her life had become. He said nothing, but took her to the kitchen and set 3 pans of water to boiling. To the first pan, he added carrots, to the second, eggs, and to the third, ground coffee. After all three had cooked, he put their contents into separate bowls and asked his daughter to cut into the eggs and carrots and smell the coffee. "What does this all mean?" she asked impatiently. "Each food," he said, "teaches us something about facing adversity, as represented by the boiling water. The carrot went in hard, but came out soft and weak. The eggs went in fragile, but came out hardened. The coffee, however, changed the water to something better. Which will you be like as you face life?" he asked. "Will you give up, become hard, or transform adversity into triumph? As the chef of your own life, what will you bring to the table?
I love that. He left you something beautiful.
He did.
Also, I want to say when you started reading that, it was a 111.
Shut up.
It was. I screenshotted my phone.
Oh my God. See? Divine guidance. Always.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
I love that so much.
I know. I do too. Like every time I read this, it like makes me emotional because it just is like, we all have these things.
We do.
But it's like a part of you. It's a part of your path. And it's supposed to put you into whatever your destiny is.
Yeah.
And helps you get there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I mean, we all come here with a ton of shit and baggage to work through. Yeah. I think that's why we're here. Mm-hmm. And it's how you handle it.
I totally agree.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Jill, because I know it's hard and you have a lot of messiness that has happened, but you have dealt with it so gracefully.
Thank you.
And your story is so important, and I hope people find nuggets of inspiration in here because maybe someone's going through something similar and they needed to hear that. Yeah. So thank you.
And if anybody ever wants some guidance or anything, I'm an open book.
You are.
Always available to chat. Send me a DM or whatever on Instagram.
Share your information. I know we didn't really talk a lot about the business, but share everything.
Yeah. Our shop, we have a shop where we do all our fun essential oils and clean products, and everything's refillable and good for you. So we have a shop in downtown Glen Ellyn, which is amazing. And then we have Aligned Life Method, which is a business all about like the energy of your home and helping you feel aligned in your spaces with yourself. Yeah. And you can find me on Instagram at Aligned Life Jill.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jill.
Thank you
for sharing your story.
So fun.
I love you so much.
Love you too.
To learn more about Able Alchemy, visit us on Instagram at Able Alchemy or visit www.ablealchemy.com.